This video was brought to you in part by the supporters of the AMTV Patreon. Thank you. Hello everybody and welcome to this rather special episode of AMTV Radio. Special because I'm chatting with a lad who has adapted a long lost and long mythologized adventure, The Dark Dimension. I'm joined by Billy Garrett-John. How you doing, Billy?
I'm all right, thank you, mate. I'm very, very good. We were waxing lyrical before we started recording about the season 24 box set coming out. So we're both sort of on a bit of a high. That came out probably about 2 hours ago, didn't it? So
it's all sort of like, high tensions at the minute, but it's good. It's good. It's all positive energy.
It is.
Billy, so I mean, before we get into The Dark Dimension, just for any listeners who might not be familiar with yourself or your work, just tell us a bit about yourself.
God. Okay.
It's the question everyone dreads, isn't it? Tell us.
I've never had to do that. Yeah. So I mean, I've been making stuff online for years, Doctor Who related stuff, usually sort of reviews. I suppose I'm better known for doing stuff with Matt Toffolo or Batman March. There's the review of Death. We've been doing stuff for about 6 years now, reviewing all sorts of Doctor Who. Alternative media and modern stuff and classic stuff and all that kind of stuff, and reminiscing about being fans, like especially in the wilderness years. And I've been natting around online for ages, and I felt like I really ought to have something to kind of nail my colours to the mast and sort of be like, hey, I did this. And so I'd started working on Dark Dimension last year.
The Dark Dimension, the big event, the thing you've spent a lot of the last year working on. I guess the obvious question to start with is, what sort of sparked you to say, yeah, I'm going to adapt that?
It was an exercise in boredom primarily. It was the lockdown of 2020. God, it seems so long ago. I started working on a writing project that sort of didn't really have any momentum to it, and I kind of fell out of love with it. I got quite bored. I was writing in prose initially, this kind of Doctor Who fan fiction project, I suppose, and then I just wanted to read the script for Dark Dimension one day because it's something that's always fascinated me. I'm always fascinated by almost Doctor Who's, and things that didn't quite happen, things that were punched around, like the Unmade season 26, or 27 or whatever. That stuff's always fascinated me. And so I just started adapting the script for a laugh, and then it suddenly sort of snowballed into, there's a first draft done, and I was like, I quite fancy doing that scene. That sounds like a lot of fun. Or I know who should play that character. It just kind of tumbled on from that. Really, it kind of took me by surprise a little bit how dedicated I was, because I tried to do fan projects like this in the past, either kind of through visual or audio means, and it's never really happened. So I was kind of shocked myself into completing it in a weird way.
Yeah, it's testament, really, isn't it? Because as you say, like, I think so many of us have tried our hand at either trying to write something or put something together, and it's that annoying thing where the idea's in your head, it's all fleshed out. You're like, I know what I'm doing, but then as soon as you get in front of your keyboard, it's like, how on earth do I translate this into...
Exactly, or you do the typical YouTube fan film thing of commissioning somebody to do a title sequence, then not doing anything with it. It was quite funny actually. When I was on, I started promoting it on Gallifrey Base, and I only actually started promoting it properly online, that it was actually happening as like a full cast audio drama, when I got all the lines in. Because I thought, I'm not going to say that it's going to happen, and then because it's going to be really embarrassing if it doesn't happen. And I've said this person's going to be in it and this person's going to be in it. But that seems to happen to a lot of like fan projects. Like thankfully, over the last sort of like 5 years, there's less of that now. I think everybody's far more connected, and we are eager to kind of do things with each other and sort of collaborate, and chat and all that. That's one of the nice things about the community in sort of the modern era. So yeah, it was one of those things that I didn't want to be 12-year-old me again, uploading another Windows Movie Maker title sequence onto YouTube, going, it's going to happen, it's coming in 2021,
Yeah.
and then nothing happened.
The classic Windows Movie Maker, what was it? The blue background and the white text.
Exactly, yeah. But you can get the logo to zoom up on screen at least.
Of course,
that's all right, Or going on to, there used to be a website. It was like the Hubble Space Telescope website. I think it was run by NASA. You could get loads of like clips of wormholes and space and star fields, and just use those as your title sequences. You could download for free. Oh my god, it was amazing.
Simpler times, man. Simpler
times.
But, I mean, obviously, first and foremost, congratulations for, episode 1, it's out. The rest of it is coming out. You've done it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I wanted to ask you was, for those who don't know, The Dark Dimension was originally, I believe, meant to be a 90-minute special or released to video back in the day. So what made you sort of want to adapt it into 4 parts? Did you set out to make it one 90-minute thing, or from the bat, were you like, I'm making this a 4-parter?
It was in the script. There's only 2 moments where it goes cliffhanger here if we want it in like capital letters. But when I was cutting it together initially, it was going to be like a 90-minute thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't put people through that. That's not fair. And also, like when I started to assemble it on the timeline, I was like, oh, we've actually hit like the 23-minute mark, bang on where that line in the script says cliffhanger here if we want it.
Yeah.
And then I did part 2, and I was like, it's happened again. I've subconsciously or unconsciously put these cliffhangers in perfectly timed.
Yeah.
Less so with part 3, but and maybe part 4, which is why part 4 is like 18 minutes long versus the 25 minutes of part 1. But yeah, it just sort of everything about this project is sort of naturally rolled out. Through even the conversations, the collaborations I've done with amazing artists online and stuff with the Dark Dimensions artwork. Everything has had a very natural period of gestation, and could we do that? Just having enough time to contact people and say, would you be able to throw something together? Because I've just had this idea. It's all been very, very natural, to be honest. But the best part of it was, okay, let's do a 4-part story, and we can have it go out live at 7 o'clock on a Saturday, and everybody can watch it like it's proper Doctor Who. Now the Doctor Who's on Sundays, obviously, which is great for Doctor Who at the moment. But I do miss Saturday night. Everything's
straight
dark outside, straight after tea. Yeah.
Oh, those were the days, man. But it's like, exactly. I think, again, what's good is, in my opinion, is you can sort of, tell you've taken the time to put it all together. Because I think another thing that I've done it with various projects, but obviously when you have an idea, it's so exciting and you just want to get it done. You want to get it out there. The temptation to just rush it and get it out works for certain things. But for something like this, I think it's great that you sort of said, no, well, let's just, take that time, get all the lines in, like you said.
It wasn't for the want of trying to get it out sooner, to be fair.
Oh, no, yeah, fair.
Honestly, there were so many. One of the hardest things, and one of the things that I will take away from this, is just recording lines, because everybody recorded their stuff separately on their own. But like just having to have like a 90-minute, like poor Ellie who plays Summerfield, she's in the whole thing, and she's got about, I think maybe like a 90-minute or maybe an hour-long audio clip of her reading through her lines and fluffing them and doing them again, or offering me different takes. And now I'm just like, okay, separate audio file for scene 1, separate audio file for scene 17, because going through that 60-minute clip and cutting all the lines, mate, honestly, because each scene had its own individual project file, so that I could kind of work on it properly and incrementally, and then slot it all together like a jigsaw at the end. Maybe that was the wrong way of going about it. I probably need to talk to a few more people who work at Big Finish, and say like, what's your workflow look like, so I can actually improve it and go, that was completely the wrong way to do it. But even if it was completely the wrong way to do it, as you said, I've actually finished it, and that's kind of mental to think.
Since your first one, you've done it. It's going out. Like, that's something to be proud of, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. I am really proud of it. Yeah.
So when you got as you say, you got the first draft together, which must have been like a whoa moment, like, we're doing this. So was it then you were like, I know who should play these characters, or did that, like, just tell us about how you sort of got the actors together? Because obviously there's a few, I think, recognizable faces if people watching into the WhoTube community, you've got Don Martyn, Will Carlisle, Matt, as you said. But what was the process then of like casting this beast?
Well, it was firstly, Matt, are you still up to do a Fourth Doctor impression? Because it's been years since he did any action figure adventures and stuff like that. He was like, yeah, no, it's still good. And then I said, Johnny, his brother, who's in some of our Review of Death videos, is a huge Sylvester McCoy fan, and his McCoy actually isn't that bad. And I was like, do you think he could do the Seventh Doctor? And Matt went, nah, I'll do a better Seventh Doctor. I'll do that. I was like, okay, that's fine. That's sorted then. And then I just put out an open call, really, just said, like, if anybody's interested in doing any lines, like I'd contacted individual people like Dom, Ellie Collins, or at TARDIS Monkey on Twitter, Sophie Isles, Will Carlisle, Chris Walker Thompson. I'd contacted them sort of individually, and Elliot Crossley as well. I contacted individually, and then I just sort of said on Twitter, open casting, who fancies having a go, and then I got so many submissions, and I feel terrible for, I tried to give everybody a role, even if it's just like, you're the underground PA system or whatever, like you're a computer bank or whatever. So I tried to give everybody parts, but then we ended up with like a cast of 30 or just over 30. And there were a couple of parts, because I work in casting in television, and I wanted to be able to cast through a traditional way rather than doing like an open casting call or just casting my mates or like acquaintances online. There are a couple of parts in there that were cast off of voice acting websites and stuff, which was good fun. Difficult, especially when people start pulling out at the last minute, and it's like, we've got all the lines except for Ace. We don't have an Ace. That's really useful, because like one of the most critical characters in the entire piece, we don't have an Ace. It was good, and I'm glad that because it was during lockdown. It was when Emily Cook was doing all of the kind of the main sort of lockdown Who,
the saviour of the last year in the community.
My God, honestly, so good. Even though I didn't join in a lot of them, like watching them live, just scrolling through it and going, oh yeah, that was actually quite a good scene. I should go watch that episode again. I wanted it to be a collaborative thing, like bringing the Doctor Who community together, because without lingering on the topic too long, the community can sometimes be a bit fractured, and I just wanted to be able to sort of bring everyone together and go, and having said that, a lot of the people in it, we all sort of share the same opinions about the program, but I just wanted to do something collaborative and fun that people could sort of muck in with and go, oh, my favorite YouTubers with that favorite YouTuber or whatever.
I think it's a good showing of how, as you say, how collaborative and positive the community can be. Because I think sometimes my friends who, they're in Doctor Who, but they're not like in the community as we are, like, as involved with it. And sometimes they'll say, oh, isn't that fandom a bit like just from what they hear? But then when I said recently, I said, oh yeah, I'm chatting with Billy, he's done this fan project, it's coming out. It's like, wait, so they're saying like it's an actual, full on project. It's a script, it's coming out. And I think it's that element that people who aren't as like in it find so appealing about the fandom, the fact that loads of us can come together and make something like this.
I totally agree, and also, I'm not saying this in like a rude way or anything, but
no.
Mr. TARDIS doesn't need any more subs, but it's lovely to have Will in it. But having said that, it is also really nice, which is why I decided to do the commissioned artwork stuff, because one of my favorite things in the community is seeing the amazing photo manipulation or like mock Big Finish covers and stuff online. And I was just like, mate, I've got to get some people that I really, really like to do some artwork. And I put another open thing out, and I also contacted some people that I knew and said, would you fancy putting something towards it? And a lot of the artwork hasn't come out yet. Some of it has. Some of it may not, because of a legal conversation I've been having with the BBC over the last week, which has not been fantastic. Well, no, it's good. They've allowed the production to go ahead.
Okay.
But under a few sort of general rules. So I can't post anything with the BBC logo or the Doctor Who logo on it. So some of the artwork may have to be tweaked slightly, which I'm in the process of sort of contacting people about. And also, it can't stay online for longer than 3 months.
And then the artwork or the project?
No, the actual project.
Oh, right, okay.
So once the audio has gone past the 3-month point, I have to take it down, and I cannot circulate it again after the fact.
Oh, man.
So I really, this is why I've been so keen to sort of chat. I mean, obviously chat with lovely people like you. Also try and spread the word about it so that people can just enjoy it for as long as they can, because it's not going to be around forever. But then also that's kind of exciting as well.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it's sort of like that moment in time sort of thing, isn't it? You can say, oh
Yeah,
yeah, I got to experience that. So
I
I
hope
mean,
so. I hope so.
yeah, if you're watching this, we'll be saying it many times. So, go to Pharaoh's Features, subscribe, watch episode 1, and then keep your eyes open for the rest for the next
Exactly.
over the next 3 months. I noticed it said, obviously, said it's a cast of just over 30 from, I believe, 6 different countries, which is
Yes.
amazing. And I mean, thank God for things like Zoom and all that sort of stuff where we can do this sort of thing. But
Yeah.
so for the actors, then I'm sure maybe some of them, have professional home studio setups. But I mean, it happens even at Big Finish. It happens everywhere. Some of us just don't have that
Yeah.
inherently. So did you have to give some direction, like, right, get that duvet, whack it over your head, and
Thankfully, everybody, I think one of the nice things about the lockdown, if there's anything to take away that is positive, is that people have got to grips with recording, webcams, microphones, and stuff. I've been talking to people, friends of mine who work at Big Finish, who have just been saying, God, like Paul McGann's been recording his stuff in his attic and he's got like pigeons up there. It's a nightmare. And all that kind of stuff, and it's just that we have to cut around the pigeons flapping around, or like Peter Davidson's had to like shove his mattress into the broom cupboard to try and record all of his audio without any echo or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's been really lovely, because I thought when I started, okay, I know that obviously like Chris Walker-Thompson, he's going to have a great mic setup. I know Matt's got a good mic setup. I know that Chris Johnson has a good mic setup. I know that Ellie's just started. Ellie's started a podcast, and Sophie's just started streaming on Twitch. They've got good mic setups, but I can't speak for everyone.
Sure.
And so I thought, well, it's a fan project. People will forgive it if somebody's using a crap USB microphone or they're recording it off of their laptop mic or whatever. And then they started coming in, and I was like, oh, like the audio quality is actually pretty good. And it was only a couple of people that I sort of said, maybe we just wait and we can record it again, because their stuff stuck out quite severely compared to the other audio in it, the audio quality. But it was nice to not actually really have to do a lot of, can you actually stick a pillow sort of behind the mic because it's bouncing off the wall or whatever. In fact, I've just bought an isolation booth for myself, and I started to get it to work. I was recording some last second bits for the episode that's just gone out, and my mic blew. So I've got an isolation booth but no microphone. So I've got to try and figure that out before I start thinking about anything else sort of past Dark Dimension.
That's such a pain, isn't it? You get an isolation booth, then you might just don't want to work.
And then it just goes bang. And it's great, doesn't work. Fantastic,
absolute kaput. But I can cut around this if needs be, because I don't know. I can't remember if it's been announced yet. But one of the actors you have involved is Jonathan Carley.
Yeah, he's announced. Yeah,
that's announced. Good, sigh of relief. I won't say who he's playing, but I mean the fact that you've got him. I mean, who is now going to be playing the War Doctor for Big Finish, which is incredible. So when you got Jonathan involved, had he already been cast then, or was that before?
I believe he had already at least been cast. He may have recorded some stuff. I mean, bloody hell, he kept that quiet. Like, amazing job to have not told anybody that. Because I just kind of, I sent him some stuff, and he said, yeah, no, I'd gladly do it. And he was actually a bit, one of the doctors he plays, which I won't spoil yet, he was a bit iffy about doing it at the start. And he sent it to me, and I was like, what are you on about? Like, this is amazing. And obviously his mic setup is fantastic, and he's just a great voice actor anyway. And then it was announced he was going to be the War Doctor, and obviously, straight in the DMs, bloody hell, you kept that quiet, well done, fantastic, all that stuff. And like half my brain was like, that's crazy, and then the other half of my brain is like, canonical actor to play a canonical Doctor in a fan audio, that's pretty good, isn't it? That was really fun, and I just thought, he kind of said to me afterwards, like, and another reason to enjoy Dark Dimension for the length of time that it's on there, is this is kind of his farewell to the fan audio community, because obviously he's moving into doing the official stuff, and so if you do want to enjoy a performance by Jonathan Carley that doesn't cost you 39 quid per box set, then there you go, there's Dark Dimension for you.
That's it.
That was great. That was so lovely to have him on board, and he does such an unbelievable job through the drama. He's so good.
Well, I can't wait to hear him, that's for sure. And I mean, yourself, Billy, you got involved. You voice, in episode 1, you voiced the Daleks.
I do, yes.
So what was that
and
like?
And the Cybermen as well. It's not because I'm proud of that one. I'm proud of that one. Yeah, no, it was great. I've always wanted to just play monsters in Doctor Who. I'm not really that keen on playing the Doctor or a companion or anything. I've always just wanted to get in a Dalek and run around. If I ever got cast on the show, yeah, I loved it. And in fact, that was one of the things that sort of spurred me on to do the project. Was right. There's one scene in particular. I think it's in part 4 or part 3. And I was like, man, that's going to be so much fun to record. Oh, no, wait, I'm not actually doing this as an audio drama. I'm just doing it as a laugh. And then as I sort of started to write more scenes like that, I was like, actually, yeah, go on, let's do it. That at least do that scene just to see what it's like as a test. And then yeah, it kind of obviously blossomed from there. That was great fun. I know what to do with my Daleks going forward in terms of improving them. But it was nice to do something that was quite specific. Like I really wanted to do Imperial Daleks.
I was gonna say, listen to episode 1. When I first heard the Dalek, I was like, that is an Imperial, that is Remembrance of the Daleks, Imperial Dalek. And I mean, for some people they might be like, what are you on about? And I mean, like in the classic series, for those who don't know, they never, as odd as it sounds, they never wrote down the setting for the ring modulator. So in every classic Dalek story, they all sound different.
Do you know what as well? I was sorry to interrupt, Adam. I need to get this off my head. The other day, for the first time in years, I watched Dalek. Yeah. And there's a bit when the bulkhead closes and the Dalek sort of like starts barking at her and she's like, you think she's dead.
Yeah.
Nick's voice modulation on it sounds like the Dalek from Day of the Daleks. It doesn't sound like it in any other scene. Like I encourage everybody, go and find that scene because he sounds like the Day of the Daleks Dalek. It's really odd, that little bit. Maybe it was like the first thing that he recorded for it and he was still tweaking with things, or it's an off cut
Day
of
the Daleks voices.
The I tell you what, if Nick's good for anything in terms of redubbing Dalek voices, it was redubbing that story. It just brings that story up a level. It kind of like the Daleks kind of can puff their chests out a bit more, and
it's funny. I only watched the original version of Day of the Daleks last week because I think as soon as I got the DVD, I just watched the special edition. And yeah, good job, Nick Briggs. Good job. But no, I mean, it's just such a nice touch that you did that. You went out of your way to say you knew it was the Imperial Daleks, but you went out of your way to make it sound like an Imperial Dalek. I know for those who clearly have way too much time on their hands like me, that it's little touches like that just make it feel more, you can see the love in the project, how much detail's gone into it. So yeah, cracking job for you, sir.
I'm glad that's come across, because that was stuff like that, and I mean, no one's going to care, but again, people who put way too much thought into these kind of details. I've tried on all the bits of artwork that have come out, if there's a TARDIS on it, I've asked that the artists use any photographs they can find of the prop from Dimensions in Time, because I figured that they're not going to put the money into fabricating a brand new TARDIS prop. They're going to drag whatever's in the BBC stock room out.
There,
and like, so that goes for the Cybermen looking exactly the same as they did in Silver Nemesis. Probably the Daleks might be given a lick of paint, but it makes sense if they're Imperial Daleks as well, because it's sort of a Sylve story, but kind of not as well. So yeah, like little touches like that really helped set the scene, especially when it came to painting the kind of audio palette with the sound effects and stuff.
I'm so glad you mentioned Dimensions in Time, the best canonical story there ever was.
To put it lightly. Yeah,
absolutely. So let's talk about episode 1, because I listened to it. I was very lucky to listen to it, and I've just made a few points that stood out to me. And I mean, the prologue before the title sequence, my God, talk about atmospheric. I thought
good.
Yeah, I mean, it sets it up like, when you're listening to audio, I think sometimes some people just like, sit in their chairs and do nothing else. Sometimes I like to, whether it's edit or write things. And I tell you what, I was like writing off an email when I started it, but within like 30 seconds, I'd sort of stopped. I was just like looking at my screen, because the atmosphere, it's sort of, I guess the phrase is, it demands attention. It's like, stop what you're doing and listen. So I think that worked beautifully. Was it always your intention to sort of get that sort of
that was like, I feel like when you've got your opening scene, you can sort of play off of that momentum and then just carry on going. And sometimes if you don't have something to open a story with, you don't have a very clear idea of what it's like writing the first couple of lines of a book. You've got to, in a lot of respects, hook your viewer or your reader or your listener in.
Absolutely.
And I just thought, that is what I want: a slow burn opening. I want, you know, the kind of atmosphere to unfold itself to the listener, and then, you know, we can hear the footsteps and the dialogue and stuff after that. But it was really important to kind of give it a bit of a doom laden, sort of oppressive, like, oh, this doesn't sound great sort of feel. So I'm glad that it did get people's attention sort of listening to it the first time.
Absolutely, mate, completely. And I mean, let's talk about the version of the theme tune that features
Oh.
a very like ethereal version of the theme tune, but I love it. It's very like it's weird in one way. It's low key, but it's also not. Like it's very like it. Oh, I could talk about theme tunes all day.
Peter Miles, man. He's just unbelievable. Because I actually contacted him and said, do you mind if I use Fantasia, which is one of his versions of the theme, which is what the Dark Dimension theme is based on? And I said, could I use that? And he said, yeah, of course. Do you want me to make any changes? And I was like, well, if you're asking, could I also have a closing version of it as well? And he was like, yeah, no worries. So what you're kind of hearing is as sort of a it's the sting from the closing version of the theme going into the original Fantasia version with a couple of different tweaks, because he sort of got back in touch with me sort of later on and said, hey, look, you know, I know that you've got what you've got and you said you were happy with it, but I've actually got some other bits and bobs that I've added to it because I want to kind of bring it up a bit. And I was like, oh man, just chuck it over, that sounds great. So he was working on it after he sent it to me. Like just man, just I love that theme. I really think it, even though it wasn't written for Dark Dimension, I think Luke as well, who's the composer does the incidental music for the audio, I think he's drawn off of elements from what Peter did, because they do sort of meld in a lot of ways. The kind of the instrumentation they use and the vibe that they both give off, I think, is quite it's synchronized, you know.
Yeah, I think the Doctor Who theme tunes throughout their history have always, I guess when you think about it, have had some sort of link with their incidental music, and it's nice to hear that sort of carried over in the Dark Dimension. And Peter Miles, again, brilliant composer. For anyone who doesn't know, he's called Dalekium on YouTube. Go and check out his channel. He makes some fantastic work, not just Doctor Who, other themes as well. And actually, you'll hear him on the podcast here very soon, so stay tuned for that. But I mean, I couldn't sing his praises enough. And when I saw that he'd done the theme tune, I was like, yes, because I'm a big fan of his work. And on that note about like sound design, one thing I took away, again, the amount of layering in this production, like the sound design, the effects. I mean, by all accounts, it is a professional audio drama. I know it's a fan production because it's being made by fans, but I don't think I've heard, and this is no disrespect to other fan productions I've heard in the past, but I don't think I've ever heard like a Doctor Who fan production sound this professional.
Wow, thank you very much. That's really, really lovely of you to say.
No, because I think, I think when we all go to audio for the first time, just put my voice over it, maybe put some music, but then you go, oh, but I've got to put effects, and if they're walking, I've got to put footsteps and all that. It's all those little things that I guess you don't realize until you've done it. But I mean, considering this was your first, like you'd clearly, I thought, nailed all those points. So
honestly, if I can give any advice to anyone who wants to do like an audio drama out there, is these things called impulse reverbs. Oh my god, they just lift everything. So these are basically people that go into spaces, random spaces all over the world, and they'll record themselves clapping, and then they'll record the echo that's made in that particular specific space, and then generate a code that then means you layer that on top of your audio, and it sounds like that person is in that specific space. So their voice is reacting off of surfaces like it would. So there's a few odd ones in there. I think, I mean, thankfully somebody had recorded the sound of people talking on an underground station platform. So you hear that in part 2. So like there's specific ones like that work really well, but you just have to, I mean, honestly, you can put lines of dialogue into something and put loads of really lovely sound effects. And you can sync up footsteps and clothes rustling and stuff like that. But honestly, if you don't put a reverb on it, it just adds color. So what you're doing, it just kind of fills in the gaps where maybe it sounds a bit like these people have recorded it in separate continents or whatever, or they've recorded it at different times. But if you just glue it all together and you just get the timing right when people interrupt each other, or the kind of pacing of realizing something with the music, it just lifts everything. So it's all about timing and just texturing the audio. But that was the most fun, was doing that. was just like getting to the end of a scene and going, that's it. That's
it.
Really nailed it. That little sound effect there has just brought the whole thing together.
There you go, folks. Impulse reverbs, the future.
Impulse reverbs.
Get on that. Yeah. And I mean, peppered throughout I won't go into too much of like the overall story because I want people to go and listen to it for themselves.
Yeah.
But I mean, I loved there were like nice little references here and there, like throughout the show's history. But what I liked was they were small enough that they, I don't think they demanded that you needed to necessarily know what they were to enjoy it, which I always think is the best kind of referencing. Was that very much intentional on your part, or?
Yeah, there's odd lines in there. Like I think there's a line, a very palpable hit appears at some point, which is a line of dialogue borrowed from the greatest Cyberman story ever, Silver Nemesis. I adore that story with every fiber of my being. There's lines in there like that, and there's odd references, and there's more specific, glaring references. But again, one of the things that I think was quite clear reading the original script is that it doesn't come across particularly as a celebration of the show. And that's because that's probably what Adrian Rigelsford, the original writer of it, just wanted to do. Like he just wanted it to be what he created. But it doesn't have that sort of typical Five Doctors 50th anniversary, swashbuckling sort of feel to it. And that's what I wanted to put into it. And so I think with the way that Doctors come in and out of the story and certain references and certain sort of greatest hit moments that pop up every now and again, that was what I wanted to do, was just try and summarize the feeling I get from watching classic Doctor Who and try and inject that into there. A little bit camp, a little bit silly, sometimes quite dark and quite scary, but ultimately it's still an adventure. People might die along the way, but when you do it, you either make that a cliffhanger because it's got a count, or you enjoy recording your death rattle as you get exterminated or something. Have fun with it.
And I think you do embellish that sense of classic Who right down to episode 1's cliffhanger, which is the classic monster reveal. Oh, it's the Cybermen. It's that classic episode 1. Oh, who's the monster going to be? Oh, there it is. I mean, I know you've got the Daleks
even though it's like screaming at you through the soundtrack, which is what I love that Luke's done, is you're just like, I don't care how early I bring these Earthshock clangs in. It's just like, people are going to know, the Cybermen are going to turn up in a minute. But it's that kind of encroach of like, how are they going to appear? Once you've watched Earthshock 1,000 times, I don't care who, if people don't like the story, I still get chills. Destroy them at once. I'm still like, whoa, like one of the greatest cliffhangers of all time, which is so sadly underrated. I can't remember which part it is. It escapes me. I think it's part 3 or part 4 of the Invasion of Time, when the Sontarans step down. And the music in that is so perfect, and the way it kind of whirs into the theme, and it's so wonderfully staged. That to me is just like the ultimate Doctor Who cliffhanger. And so in every cliffhanger, I try to sort of give you that, zoom into Colin Baker's shocked face, sort of.
All of Trial of a Time Lord.
Yeah, exactly. And I said to Luke, I was like, right, when the Doctor says this line, a specific Doctor says this specific line, I want you to do that very specific Trial of a Time Lord sort of like, thing. And he's done it, and it's in there later in the audio drama, but it's just the music lifts it so much, especially with the cliffhanger.
So there you go, Trial fans, you have been catered for. So.
You have absolutely been, and also Dimensions in Time fans have also been catered for. Yeah, later down the line, there is. I'm not going to give it away too much, but
I will listen with very eager ears, because I have a very special odd place for Dimensions in Time in my heart, so I look forward to that. And like to summarize, what I loved about it was, you're dealing with a story with multiple Doctors, a fair amount of characters and settings and stuff, and I think in that episode especially, you all communicated brilliantly. The actors, the way it was written, the sound design, you knew who everyone was, and you knew where you were. Because I think, again, for people doing first-time audio, that can be a big pitfall. I've chatted with people who have either written something, but in like a TV film style, and obviously there you have the visuals. You don't need to say, look, it's so-and-so, or here we are, but in audio it's different. So was that something, when you adapted the script, did you write it as an audio script from the off, or did you have to sort of change it as you went?
No, I think when I opened the project file and it sort of asked me, do you want the layout for a film script or an audio script? I was like, oh, I'll do it as an audio. Let's see what that's like.
Mm.
Again, just like happenstance kind of brought me to doing that. But
Yeah.
also, yeah, like it would be fun. Everybody's in lockdown. Everybody has more time on their hands. They could maybe afford to do like 20 minutes worth of recording for these lines.
Mm.
Um, and it just seemed the easiest way of getting this project together. I mean, I'm certainly not going to try and adapt a script again, but I'm certainly not going to try and adapt anything into like a visual medium because it was hard enough doing it without worrying about the lighting, the
Yeah, no, of
cinematography,
course, yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And so you've got less to worry about. But as you said, that responsibility is there to make sure if you haven't mapped out in your head what this set looks like, how far people are away from each other, how long will it take for these people to walk from that part of the beach to that part of the beach,
Yeah.
across the shingles. You need to know, okay, so it's going to be that it makes that amount of sense for them to call them over. Do you know what I mean? It's that,
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
it's gonna take them like 3 seconds to get from there to there. So you need 3 seconds worth of just plotting out. It's
Yeah.
nice actually that obviously it was written originally in a visual sense. So when it says shoreline, I can see a shoreline on like an irradiated earth. When it
Mm.
says a research center, I think
Yeah.
tiles, reflective surfaces. And so that was really helpful. So it was just a case of just trying to marry what was written on the page with what you could hear. Like it makes sense that set sounds very echoey or whatever.
Yeah, it's even down, I think, to the last little sorry, the near the opening where
Mm.
those who aren't as familiar with Dark Dimension, I think it's Dom's character says, "Oh, I recognize that umbrella," and of course the
Yeah,
umbrella is synonymous with the set. So it's
yeah,
little things like that where you get the clarity of who it is without having to necessarily go, "It's the Seventh Doctor." There,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's little things like that. So
That I was so dreading having to write stuff like, oh look at this thing on the wall that I'm having to like really awkwardly describe through
yeah,
words because
yeah,
people can't see it. I was dreading doing that sort of stuff, but thankfully the script sort of lends itself more to, oh, they're clearly running away from something, or one person's walked into a room, done something, and walked back out again, which
yeah,
was quite nice. So it was nice to have something that didn't sort of call for an awful lot of description in that
yeah.
way.
No, it's good, man. And you sort of touched on it earlier, but I mean, just as a summary, episode 1, as we said, is available now on the Faros Features YouTube
Yeah,
channel, available for about 3 months' time. So
3 months.
go and
Yeah.
listen to that right now, and we'll promote it more at the end as well because you need to see it if you're watching this. You either have watched it or you need to see it. And if you have watched it, go and watch it again. What are you doing
Yeah,
here?
go
Come
on.
on, go
Why
on.
not?
But I mean, after all this is done, Billy, what do
Yeah.
you hope this project achieves, if you like?
I don't know really. I mean, I'm definitely going to do some more stuff.
Hmm.
I don't want to do an adaptation again.
Yep.
I feel like I owe it to myself and also to anyone else who's written a script that I might get my eyes on to not ruin it. Um, I would like to do something original. There are plans to do stuff. Scripts are kind of currently being written and thrown about and things like that. But it's one of those things where I feel like I think a lot of people are like this. I was speaking to Josh Carr about it on the Who Knew podcast that
Hmm.
I can't really do something unless I've made a logo for it or something like that or artwork.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
I need to like see what it might look like on a bit of artwork on like a Spotify account or something. I need to
Mm.
know what that cover art's going to look like. And once I've got that, I feel like I can sort of inform the writing a bit more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would like to use it as a calling card, really. I'd like to be able to go somewhere and say, because all the promotion, Faros Features is just me.
Mm.
There's nobody else involved in it whatsoever, besides my dad sort of helping with, because he's an audio engineer,
Oh,
sort of
that helps.
helping. It really helps. Sort of helping with setting me up with the software that we used and sort of explaining bits and bobs to me about EQing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Besides that, everything else has been me.
Mm.
And so I would like to sort of go somewhere and tell somebody, I did this. I did all the promotion for it. I put the video together. I put this little campaign together, and I'd like to be able to go somewhere with it.
Yeah.
Um, whether or not that happens, I don't know. I mean, I've still got my day job in television, so I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket.
Mm.
Um, but I would like to do another, possibly a series with
Yeah.
this. if it's received well enough.
Yeah, that'd be so cool. I mean, I think what's nice nowadays is even things like this. If you, as I say, fan productions, like I think they are valued more in like this industry, because I know as an actor by trade,
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of jobs now that say, oh, if you've had any experience with YouTube, tell us.
yeah,
And you know, I say,
yeah.
oh, I've got this channel. So I think, you know, whereas maybe 5 years ago you'd say, oh, I've done a fan audio or I've done YouTube. They go, oh, right, then he's not serious, you know.
100%. And you know, you see it even with, like, you know, when I first met or first started speaking to Dave Burgess, who did the cinema poster for Dark Dimension. You know, he did a title sequence for Matt and I for the Review of Death. He's done 2 now, and he designed our logo, and he's done other bits and bobs. But then it was just like announced on Big Finish, oh, here's some artwork, scroll to the bottom. Dave's done some Big Finish artwork. Like, you know, or you know, Tom Newsom, who also did some stuff for Dark Dimension. I used to look at his stuff on Gallifrey Base all the time, and it's just like, and now people are just doing this stuff. Just Big Finish is just like calling on the fan community to sort of do, you know, Chris Walker Thompson appearing in Big Finish stuff, Jonathan Carley obviously appearing in Big Finish stuff, and Sophie Isles writing short trips and other bits and bobs for Big Finish. I feel like it is sort of opening up a little bit more. And that is really exciting, because there will come a time when sort of torches need to be handed over.
Sure.
You know, and I know I'm not wishing for that to happen anytime soon, but there will come a point where the generation of fans that are involved in the community now, to not put too much of a point on it, but like the Fitzroy Tavern lot, you know, that was a meme for a bit, but like, there needs, you know, there are groups of people around the country that do this sort of creative stuff, and hopefully their sort of time is coming sort of sooner rather than later, which is exciting, you know.
No, absolutely. And I think you are right. I mean, it's great that, especially with, say, Big Finish, are engaging with like the fan community, because I guess at the end of the day they started what we were doing. They were making fan audios, and you know, they
were doing what were they called, audio visual.
Yeah, the
audio
visuals in Time and Space or something like that. Yeah, back in the 80s. And I mean, in a way, it's symbolic how, you know, they started like that, and look at them now. And it's like, well, hopefully, as you say, a lot of those of us in the community who are doing this sort of thing will hopefully achieve similar things, because
you can only hope, you know, and also you can only keep doing stuff, because if you show that you have an aptitude for producing and creating and pumping stuff out, and also learning and getting better, you know, like I feel like with this production I sort of learned to run before I could walk a little bit. But that's almost a baptism of fire, in that I can improve next time, and I know what I can do better next time. And so I think people, you know, it's the same in the TV industry. People just want to see that you can work and you can do stuff, and that you can adapt. And so I think that we are going to be very, very well looked after in the future, with Doctor Who content being created by, you know, kind of the next generation of creatives in Doctor Who.
And I very much look forward to that day. Here's hoping
100%, man.
Soon, yeah. And you've already said like you want to do more original work as opposed to another adaptation. And I've seen recently a lot of people I've chatted with, either here on this channel or just in the fan community, you know, some people doing original work are doing, say, the current TARDIS team, you know, 13 with either the fam or just 13 and Yaz or whatever, and some people are going back. I mean, not that you have to disclose anything, but any ideas in your head? Is it you want to do sort of the current team, or have you got another team in mind?
I want to do something completely original. So I want to do an original Doctor, an original companion. Right. So I think that is the next thing that I'm sort of trying to work out now. I really loved writing for the existing characters, and I also, part of me really wants to do a 13th Doctor thing, because I feel like, in a way, with alternative media, because there aren't any more original books coming out, and
which is a shame, really.
Exactly, there aren't any more audio books at the moment and stuff like that. I feel like, you know, the 13th Doctor's era has kind of been shafted a little bit in that regard, but I love the fact that people are picking that up in the community and going, well, you know, she can still have adventures. Let's just do adventures ourselves. You know, like with Will doing the Collateral of Ivanhoe and stuff like that. You know, I love the fact that the 13th Doctor is still having adventures, even though everything's been delayed somewhat, and the kind of the regular working schedule for Doctor Who at the moment seems to be once every 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's nice that is continuing. I feel like she's going to have a bit of a life after this, like the Sixth Doctor had with Big Finish,
Absolutely.
or like the Seventh Doctor had with the Virgin New Adventures and stuff like that, which is really exciting. But I would like to do something original. I'd like an original TARDIS team.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do something a bit different, I think. But I am not the only person that will be working on this project. So I need to have a chat with the missus and try and work out what he wants to do with it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, whatever original work does come forward, I really look forward to. If what you've produced here from the Dark Dimension is anything to go by, I really do look forward to it.
Thank you,
I'm
mate.
sure many others will too. Not a problem. I mean, do you want to? If you want to promote the Dark Dimension, you go for it. However you want to do it. Let's go.
Okay, so I hope you all enjoyed part one. If you didn't, you can direct complaints to Farrell's Features on the Twitter account. Some poor sap's going to have to deal with that at some point in the future. Got an intern in to deal with that. So part one's out. Part two comes out. Well, it's the next 3 Saturdays. There's going to be a new part of Dark Dimension, and then part 4 will be the last, and then we'll say goodbye to it, and it will stay there for 3 months, as per Auntie Beeb's request. And yeah, follow at Pharos Features on Twitter, because hopefully we'll be posting a lot more stuff on there kind of soon about new projects and other things we're working on, podcasts and other audio related things, not just Doctor Who related, but other bits and bobs too. And yeah, I guess follow me on Twitter as well at Garratt-JOHN, and the Review of Death and Matt as well, because once the world's gone back to normal, hopefully we'll be able to meet up and do stuff.
Oh God, meeting people up, that's
it feels weird, doesn't it?
Man. It is.
What's the best way of doing it? Is it just everybody goes out and has a massive blowout the first night, or do you pace yourself with it and just like, okay, well, I'll see this group of people one Saturday, this group of people the other Saturday, and what's the best way of going about it? I don't know yet.
That's true. I mean, I just hope, I think a lot of people are after, conventions again, just because that was a place where so many of us could like meet up. And I mean, so many people I want to meet who say I've chatted with like yourself, but I'd love to meet in person. So it's like
totally. And also, like Matt and I, thankfully we only, hang on. I think we had 2 conventions booked in 2020 that obviously were cancelled, so we couldn't do panels and stuff at them, and it was so disappointing because we'd only just started to get into the convention circuit, and it's so much fun, and like not just like meeting wonderful people and sort of communicating with people from the community, and or people coming up to you and saying how much your work means to them, which is just mental, but also like just sat in the green room and David Banks walks in, all right, David, or Peter Purvis is trying to get his iPad to work, and Sylvester sat over there nodding off slowly to himself. It's beautiful, it's so exciting to sort of be on the other side of that curtain now. But what is also really nice, as we were saying before, is that curtain is sort of dropping as each year goes past. More and more people are kind of being opened up into that kind of for a long time sort of forbidden realm of the making of Doctor Who, or the making of its ancillary sort of products, so it's exciting to know that sort of stuff's changing now. But man, conventions, I can't wait for them to come back. I'm gonna go on a world tour, I think, probably. just try and make up for lost time.
The Billy Garratt-JOHN World Tour.
I'll and it will end at Gallifrey 1.
Oh,
if it wants to come up in LA, I'll be there.
Well, I mean, at the time of this recording, the London Comic Con is still got their dates for July this year. So fingers. Really? Well, last time I checked, they've got guests. They've got, I think it's like the 23rd to the 25th of July. So with all the fingers crossed in the world, let's hope so, because that would be incredible. But Billy, thank you so much for coming on today and talking about the Dark Dimension. I'll do my fair share of the plug-in now. As Billy said, go, if you're not already on the Pharos Features YouTube channel, I don't know what you're doing. You need to go over there right now. I will put all those links in the description to the YouTube channel, the Twitter page, Billy's Twitter page. It will all be there. Episode 1 is out now, and the other 3 are coming out on the next 3 Saturdays, and you've got 3 months to watch them before they will disappear forever. So you don't want to miss it. It's not going to be like, oh, the Dark Dimension's been discovered. No, it will be gone. So you've got.
It will become a missing story, and then somebody will find it in a skip and
In a
then
hard
not give it
drive
back
in a
to
skip, yeah.
Exactly. They'll find it somewhere and they'll keep a hold of it because they're miserable and don't want people to enjoy nice things.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we've plugged it as much as we can. You just go and check it out. Episode 1 is fantastic. The rest, I'm sure, will be as well. And once again, Billy, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, mate. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No worries, man. And for all of you watching, I will see you next time.